Hello, welcome to a freshly shaved Untitled Car Show. So what's this? Well, this is... I realized it had like a backing plate on it that stops air from getting through. So we removed that. We also decided to paint the caliper and the hub. You need to grease that up, it's really sticky. And we painted that one really sloppily too. Why are we doing this? Well, because that needs a clutch. So that's going to be fun. So I haven't really seen too many videos of this online, so we'll try and go over this as best we can to kind of show you what I'm doing. And let me put on a new set of gloves and I will be right back. What do you have to do to change a clutch in a Fiero? First of all, you got to jack it up. Now, this is a little difficult because the jacking points on the Fiero are right basically where that wheel is underneath there. So the best place I've found to jack it up from is the middle bar here, which is the engine cradle, which I'll explain why that's an issue in just a second. So you jack it up, you get it up in the air, you get your wheels off. Here's some bags for organization. And then what you got to do is you got to remove the inlet tube that goes right there, because that's going to get in your way. Drop the exhaust, or in my case just cut it off if it's too rusty to get it off in one piece. Then what you got to do is, this whole engine's sitting on a like subframe cradle. I'll show you that in a second. Frame cradle. It goes through here. You got to remove this whole strut and the whole hub assembly, and then you can pull out the transmission. And if you're not an idiot like me, you'll realize there's transmission oil in there and it's going to come out. So you put a bucket down there. If you're an idiot like me, you keep a bunch of kitty litter around. So the only thing that's really holding this whole engine and everything in here is a bolt on this side, a bolt on that side, and the front hinge over here. So all it really takes is getting that loose, getting the other side loose, and then lowering it. Now the issue I have is, here's the frame of the car that you can support it with the jack on. Here's how high up it is, and then that's my little jury rig thing. So the way this whole thing comes out is there's a couple of bolts that hold it on to the actual frame. Right there, I don't know if you can see those. There, one bolt, two bolts, and they hold it onto the frame. And then the rest of the bolts are on the actual transmission, or on the actual, hold it to the actual engine. So there's a couple of bolts here that hold it to the coolant hose. Just a lot of little stuff, but for the most part, what we should be able to do is lower this and then detach it and pull it out towards us. That's the plan. So it's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass to get up in there. We're going to have to remove some linkages. As you can see, the exhaust does not want to cooperate, and we're just going to take a sawzall to it and just kind of make it cooperate. Also, there's a lot of opportunity to get in here and kind of just remove what doesn't need to be in here. So that's what we're doing, and while we're at it, we're going to do a brake job, which means we're going to need new brake pads and rotors anyway, so we're going to paint that. We're kind of treating all the rust as we come up to it. I don't know if you can really see with the current lighting. We got some rust going on in there, so we're going to treat that. You know, just trying to go through and just make sure this thing works as best as it can. You know, removing any nest or anything we see in here. Yeah, but for the most part, that's the plan. Is we're going to have to, you know, remove it from here. Now I'm looking. I got a mount here. I got a mount there. There's a motor mount on the other side. So the way we're going to have to lower this is take that jack stand, put it underneath the actual motor somewhere, probably on this bar here. See, this is where it starts getting to be Jenga. So that's kind of what we're going to have to figure out in the next episode, is where to put that motor. And I'm trying to keep track of everything, so everything's getting Ziploc bags and alignment. Like you can see the parts of this where obviously was a front wheel drive setup, just converted to rear wheel drive. You know, still have your steering arm. It kind of just sits there on the hub now. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. So we're going to do something with the exhaust now. We were planning on it anyway. Yeah, and this is a good time to search for some cheap lowering springs and all sorts of fun stuff since we got it all out. So we're going to paint the motor while we're at it. We got some paint products over here. I'm thinking about removing the trunk just to make access to this easier, but we'll see how that works. I don't know if I really want to go through that whole process just to get the motor out. Yeah, so that's going to be fun. So today we are doing a clutch job, and I haven't really seen this on YouTube or anywhere really video-wise. So I figure I will take you along with me. I apologize for super close-up angle and the shitty hair. And kitty litter for spilled oil. But we'll get into that. So join me, won't you? Alright, so you join me after having removed the spindle, the driver's side suspension. So we bag up everything we can. We put this down on the ground just to kind of keep some tension on it. So proof that this is a front wheel drive car. Engine kind of sitting in the back. You can even see like the arm for what would have been the steering kind of just mounted in place. So it makes alignment a lot easier though, which is good. Look how corroded and effed up all this is. So you got all this gunk and detritus on it, which that comes in a point. So we removed the whole spindle that's sitting right there. We gave it a fresh coat of paint since we're in the area. We're probably going to take out the little silencer box there since we're sitting in here. We're just going to get a straight tube and run it across, but we're kind of getting distracted as is our way. So you may be wondering why the entire rear bumper is off. So this here, ooh, that's hot. This is the bolt that goes up in through here, right? So to get that out, on the passenger side, no issue. On the driver's side, it may be hard to tell, you see the little thing sticking up down there? That is the captured nut. That right there is some shitty booger welds I had to make to stop that captured nut from spinning around. So once we got that out, we have the sub chassis here supported by jack stands, since this is the most weight of the car. We have our kind of shitty setup here. This is super sketch, so I recommend you go out and buy some proper jack stands that'll actually reach up to here. But we're going to support the frame here. We're going to jack up the center frame here, and we're going to lower these a little bit so that we can get in and drop the engine cradle down just enough to get that transmission out, so that we can put the new clutch and the whole clutch setup. So flex plate, clutch, flywheel, everything, just so we have access to it. We also went ahead, and our exhaust was rusty anyway. Let me go show you that. So it's kind of hard to tell, but the exhaust here, you know, we got parts of the catalytic converter falling off. You can see the new hardware someone put on trying to like keep it up and running. It was just not sounding good, and I'll just put a new one on anyway. You have to remove this regardless to drop down the engine, so this is kind of a necessary step anyway, so just cut it out if yours is rusty. Spend some money, make a custom one. The Fiero, you don't have a lot of tubing to have to do. We have all the back of the car off anyway, and since we're doing new brakes and brake pads, we just sprayed stuff with glue if we were able to. We painted that since we were able to. We had to take it off anyway. We took out the bumper bar here because we had to. We treated it with some rust preventative. So this is Rust-Oleum rust dissolver, and then we're going to hit it with a thing of black paint. It was in a bad way. You can kind of see where it was sitting there. So what we've been doing is we've been spraying it on and then brushing it in, just to kind of like help it get down into those nooks and crannies. And you can see this was all brown, and now it's got a very nice, basically the whole bumper looked like this right there, and where there was only surface corrosion, it's turned into this nice black color. So we're just going to hit these points again while we're working on the clutch and kind of get to it. Yep, and so we'll go ahead and we'll try and drop that engine cradle and we'll see how that goes. Today I'm going to remember that oil leaks out of the transmission. Going to have to remember to refill that too. So we got the motor down. I don't think this is going to be quite far enough to actually pull out the transmission, but it's about the level where I'm comfortable working on it. I should be able, so what we got to do is we got to take off these bolts here, and then there's another support bracket up here. We're probably going to have to go in through the top and take off the this is our clutch linkage right here, because it should come off without much of an issue. My concern, I just don't want to damage anything here because this is all fairly expensive stuff. We can probably leave the slave cylinder attached, seeing as how that goes on. It might make it a pain in the ass when we put it back on, but we'll see. Yeah, and we're just going to try and, while we're in here, get to as much of the detritus and all the like rust and everything in here. And this car is remarkably rust free for it being as old as it is. But where there is rust, like right here in the chassis, this is hard to do on camera, right here in the chassis, that's not good. So we're just going to try and take care of all of that while we're in here. So give me a sec. So we got the transmission off, and as you can see right in here, there's a lot of clutch material, a lot of crap clogging up the system. As for the clutch itself, you can't smell it, but this smells and is absolutely glassed. I mean, this thing has just been destroyed. Flex plate. You can see more crap clogging up the works. So that's kind of what I think. Also, this fell out, and I have no idea where it fell out from, so that makes me nervous. But other than that, everything went fairly well. It took a lot longer than it should have. That's kind of par for the course here at the show. So, let me get the throwout bearing out, get the new clutch in, and that's sitting right over here right now. So we got our new clutch, throwout bearing, bearing seal, all the fun stuff. Fairly cheap from the Amazons. So as you can see, that's a lot thicker than the old one. So should be good to go. Yeah, so I had to go up and shower and all that because I looked like this. So it's why I like wearing gloves, but it doesn't help when it's all over you. I even took a spring to the nose. I don't know if you can tell. So that wasn't fun. But big day, a lot of progress made. So now we gotta get this in, and that's gonna be on another day because I've been doing this for 5 hours now, and I'm beat because it's 100 degrees out in August in DC. So that sucks. All right, until next time. Thanks for watching.